Welcome back to Spiteful Lovers in a Perfect World. And last time, we managed to get a client understand. Well, actually, Factoria got that client understand, and basically she contradicted our entire theory. But now we finally get to present what I've been thinking from the start, is that the blood was actually the reason why the syringe was ruined. I mean, I'm acting like that's not really like obvious from just having the blood in the court record and this, and it's the exact same colour. But the only question is, what now? Because Factoria wants to challenge our theory. Let's hear what they have to say. In theory, for the killer's plan to be foolproof, they would need to make the death serum red and the immortality serum clear, so the nurse would swap the two serums herself. That seems to be what happened now. They really did confuse me into swapping them. Let me finish! Ignoring the fact that what should be the immortality serum is clearly red. I guess we don't have an explanation for that. How do you think the killer would have turned that red serum clear? Well, by oxidizing it, I guess. Precisely! And how would the killer know how to do that? The immortality serum's oxidization information is certainly not common knowledge. Only chemists and nurses, like your client, would know how the oxidization works. You can't be serious. You saying my client killed the Thales on purpose? I thought he was sticking to manslaughter. Well, I mean, it's not like you can't just get a book and read about it, unless I don't know why they would keep that. Is it being implied that this was kept a secret, like the whole thing? But no, surely if the nurses knew about it, they'd have to study it. There'd be a way of knowing about it, right? But if the way they're speaking, it seems to be confirming to me that Paolo is the only likely suspect. I'm not saying that! Only implying it. I see how it is. You're trying to make me back up this whole line of argument like before. Well, I'm not having it. No, there must be someone else who could have killed him. Oh, how very intriguing. But even if you find someone who would have known how oxidizing the immortality serum works, there's still the opportunity to contend with. Opportunity, huh? That shouldn't be as big of an issue as you're expecting. Now that we know that the killer used the blood rather than oxidization to change the death serum's colour. That opens up a whole new range of possibility, as we don't need to worry about how long it took. Seems you're rather set on this. Very well, I will accept your theory. If you manage to accuse a suspect. Accuse someone now? That should come as no surprise. You cannot gesture at some nebulous killer without backing up who that killer may be. Right, let's come to this then. Can you do it, Sophie? Do you know who killed Dr. Thales? The only one that fits that is you. You had the opportunity because you were in the room conveniently while Sophie was distracted talking to Brighton. And she was a nurse and she knows about the oxidization. I don't know, maybe? I believe in you. I don't know how encouraging that is for me, really. It all comes down to this, Miss Lang. This killer of yours needs two things for me to accept the accusation. One, knowledge of the effects of oxidizing the immortality serum. And two, opportunity to tamper with both serums. And it goes without saying, such a grave accusation comes an equally grave penalty. Right, I understand. Well, can you do it? Who killed Dr. Thales? It was me. Well, me, of course. Is that a confession? Don't be ridiculous. You had neither the knowledge nor the opportunity. I don't understand the purpose of this jest, but a jest is all it is. Miss Lang does some strange things when she's backed into a corner. For the joke in poor taste, I hand down a penalty. I don't have an explanation for why I did that. Let's start over, shall we? Over. Okay, we'll just walk back here. It was a suicide. If you're looking for someone with the knowledge of the immortality serum, who better than Dr. Tails? He is the man who invented it, and an esteemed chemist in his own right. Don't be ridiculous. You mean to say that his death was a suicide? If he was tired of living, he could have just asked for the death serum. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I'm afraid I'll have to hand down the penalty. Why don't you try that again? Our client. Well, it's true Ophelia had both the knowledge and opportunity needed to commit the crime. Sophie, what are you doing? I'm your client, remember? Just when I had started believing in my innocence, too. Yeah, Sophie, it's not her. I don't know what you're thinking. Sorry, it's just hard to think of another suspect. Let's hope next time you don't betray your own client. Oh, by all means, you're free to accuse her. It makes my job a whole lot easier. It's what I'm here for. Was he going to say any more? I'm curious. I'm too curious about the text line, but... Whatever, let's just try this one more time. I need to let it loop all the way back. I can't really think of any other suspect besides Mr. Whedon. Huh? You're accusing my brother? I mean, who else can it really be? Out of everyone on the scene, besides Ophelia, he's the only one who might know the oxidization. His sister was a nurse, after all. I never told him any of that stuff, you know. And even if she did, it still couldn't be him. He was stuck in his room the whole time and couldn't so much as look at Dale's syringe. In other words, he had no opportunity. Close, but no cigar. Sorry, Miss Lang. I felt like I was going somewhere with that. Sorry, fella. How about we accuse someone who isn't my brother? Fair enough. Maybe Detective Van Cole? You know, I was expecting something stupid, but not this stupid. For one, he wasn't even at the hospital until Miss Whedon called the police. That's me. And further, he was unaware of the oxidization information until it became relevant to the case. That is quite possibly the worst accusation you could have made. Well, I think of one more. I'm inclined to agree. I'm also inclined to hand out the penalty for such an egregious showing. And if I could accuse you, Judge, I would. I know, I just can't imagine any of the people I've grown to know so well committing the murder. Does the detective seem more morally bankrupt to you? No, he seems like a great guy, but whatever. Just let me try again already. I have nothing to say to that. Except perhaps, I wasn't there, and you're an idiot. It seems we share an opinion of the defense. It goes without saying that that's deserving of a penalty. I guess that's fair. Can I try again at least? I'm almost inclined to say no, but fine, one more chance. Now it comes down to Ollie versus Whedon. No, so it is actually here, and I was right. So I present Ollie just as a joke. How about Ollie? He had plenty of opportunities since he was following Ophelia around everywhere. It can't actually be him, can it? No, it can't. He had no knowledge of the immortality serum's oxidization properties. How can you say for sure? It's possible my client informed him of them. No, it isn't. Remember what he told us earlier in the trial? Recall the time it takes for the death serum to oxidize Verity's vial. Therefore, it is entirely possible that only one of the serums had finished oxidizing. Oxidizing? I mean, he could be a mastermind who was pretending. I guess Ollie didn't know a particular aspect of the serum's chemistry. Oh, I suppose I was wrong. Oh, phew, I was worried for a second there. It was a good attempt, but not good enough, I'm afraid. Yeah, I don't see a kid like him capable of murder. Let's give it another shot. Damn, I was right. I've been calling this for like one whole episode. Just last time was when I came up with that theory. Or maybe I might have mentioned possibly suspecting it before, but definitely the last episode was where I was most leaning towards it. No, that can't be right, can it? But then, when I think back to when we were making our way to the hospital, Has to be a nurse, actually. Oh, I'd be getting back to work. I have a lot to do before shift change. My bad, I got excited. Here's your bags. Right. Of course, she'd know about the oxidization. She was a nurse after all. And back then, she didn't tamper with the serums then, did she? No matter what, it's indisputable that she had the opportunity. The cause of all of this, what led Dr. Theos to the hospital in the first place, was the immortality serum. This was his 5th dose of 5 centuries lived. But something or someone didn't agree with his plans. Something contradicted his simple plan of living forever. The death serum, that's what killed him. And the one behind it all, the mastermind intimately connected to this entire incident, standing right next to me. Miss Lang, have you gone quite mad? Accusing your own co-counselors. I just don't know what to say. Mad? I figure I must be. Only an insane person can honestly believe Powell is the killer. Yeah, this is the direction my logic has taken me. The universe loves its cruel jokes, doesn't it? Sophie, calm yourself. Calm down? How can you, of all people, say that right now? And what do you want me to say? Wait, Pala, no, I don't hate you. I just don't want you to make this any harder than it has to be. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this is just another crack theory that'll get disproved in an instant. You're wrong. This is another crack theory that'll get disproved in an instant. Oh, okay, never mind. I retract the accusation. But Pala, answer me. You're not serious about this, right? Pala could... Ophelia... Sorry, I don't think it gets any better from here. Remember when the 3 of us first talked in the hallway? You got the serum bags with you. I think that might have been when... Objection! I've had enough of this nonsense for one lifetime. However many centuries of it. Not only do you accuse your own co-counsel, you say she tampered with the scene in full view of you. That's impossible. You and your client both would have seen it. Oh, how I would love for that to be true. Unfortunately, I can think of a counter-argument. Let's hear it. How did Miss Whedon tamper with the syringes without your client noticing? The bird? Of course it's this. Hey, Sophie, did you get that wrong on purpose? You don't need to protect me. Please, go all out. I can handle it. Yeah, but... It appears Defense has yet to make up her mind. I'm afraid if this goes on much longer, this penalty will be the least of your worries. It's already the least of my worries. I'd gladly lose this case if it made Pala innocent. I want to go back to when we weren't even considering her as a suspect. If I must continue, then I will. Pala, she went up with the serums while we were in the hallway. Is it the syringes? The bags? Bags? No. Clothes? I honestly don't know. Does it say anything? Oh, camp is in the profiles. Because she was talking to her? Yeah. I was thinking of that, but then I was like, no, it's too obvious. But she had to take an opportunity while Ophelia was distracted. I'm sure you know what that was, right? I guess I wasn't paying attention to the serums while I was busy talking to you, Sophie. Exactly! She used me as a pawn in her own murder scheme. Come to think of it, nothing's saying she had to meddle with both serums at the same time. She could have used that opportunity to meddle with Dale's syringe she wouldn't be able to access later, and use the same strategy to distract her brother in his room while she tampered with his syringe. Impressive theory, but theoretically saved me some headache. Can you say other words? Can you say, no, actually, that's all completely wrong? I'm not confirming or denying anything right now. That's the worst part. Paula, say it isn't true. This has taken a turn for the dramatic. Paula Whedon, I'm afraid you'll have to respond to these accusations. Figured it would come to this. Seems I'm next up on the stand. Be gentle. Paula, I've built so much of my identity around you now. So what happens if you're not who I thought you were? This is impossible! I don't believe this has happened! This whole trial is impossible. This is just even more impossible than what came before. Paula, Sophie, please be okay. I didn't think this would be happening so soon. Because I was thinking if she is the killer, there'll probably be still a bit of time before we accuse her. But no, this episode's got pretty dramatic and we're not even half an hour in. We're not even 20 minutes in, actually, looking at the time. Witness, please state your... I really would rather not have it come to this. Do I seriously have to do this? I'm afraid you do. Fine then. Witness, state your name and occupation. No time for nonsense, huh? I'm Paula Whedon. I'm a librarian. The defense has accused you of the murder of Dr. Thales, against seemingly everyone's interest. She's wrong, of course. As such, please testify about your actions the day of the crime. Hopefully that should clear up this misconception. No, actually, I did kill him. God damn it! I cannot. Excuse me. You heard me. I plead the fifth. I refuse to testify. What? What? But Miss Whedon, you must realize things will get much worse for you if you don't. Of course I know that, but I still have no reason to testify despite that. After all, the defense has failed to adequately support their accusation of me. Responding to such a crude allegation isn't worth my time. What are you saying? If you wish to indict me, then you need three things at minimum. Means, motive, and opportunity. I can accept that I have both the means and the opportunity to commit the crime. However, I have absolutely no motive to kill Dr. Thales. Not to mention, Sophie doesn't even have any evidence against me. Instead, aside from Ophelia, you are quite literally the only suspect. And you seem to believe she didn't do it. So why? Like I said, I have no reason to answer any of your questions. Unless you can actually support your accusation. What do you mean to say? The only thing holding your theory back at the moment is motive. If you could deduce what my motive could be, that would force me to have to defend myself. Ha! Ha! You want me to keep going, huh? This isn't funny in the slightest. Don't make me do this, Paula. I don't want you to be the killer. I really don't. It's your job as an attorney to defend your client. Right now, the only way to do that is to show who the real killer is. I'm afraid you have no other choice. If you can't back up your accusation against me, you'll lose. She's right, Miss Lang. You've come this far. Seems your only option is to finish the job. You want me to deduce your motive? That's not something I can do with evidence, you know. Of course, but you don't need evidence, do you? So that's how it is, huh? Fine then. I'll show you the best damn logic line deduction you'll ever see. No holding back now. I'm going to accuse Paula of all people. I'd better be serious about it. But a motive? Well, let's just think back to things I know about her. She's a librarian now, yes, but as I've learned, that wasn't always the case. Paula used to be a nurse, didn't she? Unfortunately, this was immediately apparent to me. My next bet is probably just to try and remember various things I learned in my investigation. I bet that accident's gonna come up. It's possible one of them might be related to a motive. For one, I think Ollie told me something interesting. Okay, there's 4 main blood types. O, A, B, and AB. O can give to anyone, but only receive itself. AB can receive from everyone, but only give to itself. A can give to itself and AB. It can receive from itself and O. B is the same way. If your blood type is positive, you can receive from both positive and negative blood types. So this blood type is B positive, A negative. If it's negative, you can only receive other negatives, but you can give to both. So that's the thing. You can only receive negative anyway, but it's also A, and this is B+, so it definitely cannot receive this. If you get an incompatible blood type, you can get all kind of nasty side effects, like chills, fever, and vomiting. That's no good. And he had no side effects. See, no unexpected adverse reactions. Thanks for the science lesson. Regardless, that blood type information could be relevant to a motive or something else. What else is there? Oh yeah, I heard something from Ophelia too. Just a rumour, really. People say that there was a tragedy with an experimental treatment. Tragedy? What kind of tragedy? Well, apparently some bigwig with influence over the hospital asked for them to try a new type of drug. It went horribly. The very first patient they tried it on, they died. Seriously? How come I've never heard of this? Well, the hospital's been trying to cover it up ever since. It's really just ghost story now. They say the nurse in charge of giving that treatment left after that. No one knows where they went. How did I miss that? Damn. It was obviously her then. I have my suspicions. And she didn't raise those suspicions, if they were of power. I'm gonna have to rewatch my old video and see, because I don't think I actually picked up on this at the time of watching. I might have said something and forgotten about it now. An experimental treatment gone awry. We still never figured out the truth behind that. And one more thing too. Nah, it's just been a lot of renovations in the past few years. The hospital wasn't even named after Thales when I worked here. Huh. I guess Mr. donated a lot of money to the hospital. I guess it's not too unusual. We love naming things after their donors. That's right. The Thales donated money to the hospital and got it named after him. That's about everything I can think of that might be relevant. I still don't know where to start now. Well, gloves off now. I'll give myself access to all 3 logic lines. Oh yeah, we're doing more lines. And with that, let's get started. We will draw a logic line. Because I'm thinking... This... It's not a connection, right? Well, no. Yeah, connection, right? This is... We need a motive, and then nurse who left for the experimental treatment. Carla, remember what Ophelia told us about that scandal? When a nurse wanted to leave because of the treatment that went awry? What about it? That wasn't you, was it? Is the reason you quit being a nurse because of that treatment? I feel for that nurse, you know, being forced to take a patient's life because of someone else. I don't know how she managed to recover. She? Oop, did I slip up there? Regardless, I don't believe you can prove that nurse was me. Actually, that should be a fairly simple process. The hospital keeps records of its staff, including when they leave. If we cross-reference this data with when the rumor of this experiment started, we should easily be able to confirm whether Miss Whedon was the nurse from that incident. Miss Factora, are you helping me? Don't misunderstand. The trial will not proceed until Miss Whedon opts to testify. Wherever this path leads, this appears to be the only way to convince her to do that. Pretty impressive. Alright then, I'll admit it. I was the nurse who killed that patient. Paula. For the record, I knew it was a bad idea from the start. I said they should have tested the drug more before handing it off to the hospitals. But the person who ordered it had a lot of money on their hands. There was nothing I could have done. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the person who forced your hand. Thank you for saying that. It means a lot to me. Really. We got the motive now. A person with a lot of money on their hands who happened to donate some money to Reading Hospital. That said, I don't think this alone proves a motive I'd have against the Thales. I have to agree. There's more to uncover here yet. I'm certain of it. Understood? Whatever you're hiding from me, I have to find out why you're acting like this. Okay. Now I'm just gonna draw like a random one. The relationship between these two things reveals your motive. And that isn't right, I'm afraid. I'm sure you can do better than that, Sophie. Do you want me to? You're gonna put me through the experience of accusing my friend? You've already made the accusation. All you can do now is follow through. And if you do not, well, I think we both know when I'll get you. No one wanted this, so why did it have to happen this way? Right, now we have money and Paul's motive, right? Or is it money and experimental? No, so it must be. Or maybe this is a causality line? No. We didn't actually try this. Someone in big request to also quite new training. Okay, let's. So I already tried that. I feel like it has to be these two. So let me get this straight. There was a scandal in which a patient died to experimental drugs, and suspiciously later, a certain someone donated a large amount of money to the hospital, almost as if to cover up the incident. Objection! Cover it up! What are you talking about? That patient didn't die for no reason. Someone with influence over the hospital requested that treatment be used. What kind of influence? Maybe it was a famous chemist sponsoring his own medicine? You know more than you let on. Out with it, Miss Lang. Who was the one behind those donations? It's the one you and I are very familiar with. Dr. Igor Thales himself. I believe he was the one behind that patient's death. And so his crime wouldn't get out, he bribed the hospital to keep the secret. Seriously? Sweden, is this all true? I'm afraid so. The one behind that scandal at the hospital was Dr. Thales. No mistake about it. What? What is all this then? Sweden! Palla! Answer me! If the defense tells the truth, and the Theos covered up a death he himself is responsible for, is this world, this immortality, truly built on the lies of an egocentric mad scientist? I don't have an answer for you, Miss Mix Factora. This world you're so fond of was never a paradise. It wasn't made for any of us, only for him. Immortality is a blessing for some, but a curse for others. Mix Factora, can you recall any fond memories from your past? What are you talking about? Of course I... What is this? Why can't I remember anything? I know, in the broadest possible strokes, that I had a happy childhood. But beyond that, nothing. The specifics all elude me. That's why you write a diary or you record some YouTube videos so that you don't have an existential crisis in the future. People weren't built to live forever. Our brains discard old memories to make room for new ones all the time. That's normal. But left unchecked, it leads to this. You're still within the bounds of what was once a normal human lifespan. Imagine living 2-3 centuries from now. What will you remember from this time? Will you be recognizable? Can you still be considered the same person? I don't know. Damn it, Miss Lang. I didn't come here to have an existential crisis. Growing pains, happens at a different time for everyone. You'll get used to it. He didn't think of any of this, of course. But the Thales, I mean. He just wanted to play God and live forever. Now we live with the consequences of that decision. It sounds like you're not a fan. I don't mind it, in theory. It's nice that it's optional. I wish it wasn't him we had to thank for it. Very well then. I believe we have established that the victim was responsible for her death at a hospital. So, that's that, isn't it? Paula, I know why you killed up the Thales. Well, let's hear it. When you were still a nurse at that hospital, you were ordered to do something horrific. Namely, give an experimental treatment to a patient. This killed them, and the one who made you do it was Dr. Thales. Without any regard for human life, he just wanted his new drug to be tested in the wild. An innocent life lost for such a vain reason, it's no wonder he wanted to seek revenge. Especially after he tried to cover it up by showering the hospital with money. Money makes the world go round, unfortunately for everyone. Dr. Thales was a despicable human being. I don't believe it! This is completely ridiculous! I guess Factora's still out of it. Sweden, the defense has sufficiently backed up their accusation of you. You have the right not to speak on the matter, but I feel you are obligated to tell us. Did you kill Dr. Thales? No one else had both the knowledge and the opportunity necessary to commit this crime, except for my client, who had no motive. And if they did it by accident, the glove marks on Whedon's syringe cannot be explained. Therefore, Paula, you are the only one who could have killed Dr. Thales. You're right. I confess to the murder. What? Are you kidding me, Paula? How can you confess now of all times? The defense still has no decisive evidence against you. That's true, but you heard her. No other suspect is possible. Now, because I've been thinking for a while. She said in the lobby to, you know, keep fighting even to the very end. And I was thinking at the time, I think I said it out loud though, like, maybe it's going to fake us out that she's the killer, and actually what she's going to do is try and protect her friend by... And in this case, the reason she's doing it is to extend out the trial as long as possible, so we can bring out the real culprit. So it just seems a bit too convenient. And we don't have any evidence against her, so if she was the culprit, there'd be no reason to convince. You know, pal, I was right about one thing. You're really great at making me feel things I normally can't. They just don't happen to be positive things in this case. I don't believe you. What, my confession? Of course not. How can I? But, Miss Lang, you're the one who accused her in the first place. Yeah, but something clicked into place when she confessed just now. This isn't right. None of this is. I don't care if it makes me irrational. I can't believe Paul would actually be responsible for a man's death. So, I mean... It could also be a double bluff. We have to consider that possibility. If I confess, then she'll be like, whoa, what's happening? I'm not accusing her. Because the alternative is suffering. And it turns out there's a bad thing. Pala, come back to me. Please. Sophie. I don't want to make this harder for you. Fine then. Maybe this will finally convince you that what I say is true. Your Honor, may I testify as to how I committed the murder? Oh, that seems pretty relevant to the case. Yes, you may. Sophie, I'm sorry, but this is the way it has to end. How I did it. Oh, this is slightly better. I killed Dr. Thales by making the nurse think she had given both patients the wrong serums. To be fair, before my work, I snuck into the hospital and took 2 syringes. One I filled with blood. While I was in the hallway with you and Ophelia, I poked a hole in the big bag labeled immortality. Then, in my brother's room, I injected the blood into the syringe containing the death serum. This made the death serum appear red and the immortality serum appear clear. As such, Ophelia swapped the 2 serums before administering them, falling right into my trap. Well, the testimony is bogus, and I think we all know it. The immortality serum did not turn clear, as you can clearly see. Oh, so it didn't. That confused me as well at first. But the explanation is actually quite simple. You were right, Mix Factora. It seems Ophelia really did make a mistake and filled both syringes with the death serum. That's the only explanation that I can see anyway. However, this doesn't mean that she's guilty. If not for me, she wouldn't have noticed Thales' serum being clear. It's because of my meddling that she didn't. Therefore, I am the real killer. Can it really be that simple? Did a professional like her really make such a rookie mistake? It happens, especially when you're as overworked as a nurse is. Pal, I just want to know, why? Dr. Thales is the worst kind of scum there is, and he wasn't going to choose to die himself, so I... No, not that. Why let Ophelia take the blame? Wasn't she your friend? That was the one part of my plan that wasn't foolproof. Though I left the hospital, I still have my connections there. I knew Thales was going to be there that day, the same day as my brother. The one thing I didn't know was which nurse was going to be tending to them. I was crossing my fingers, hoping it wouldn't be Ophelia, but I got unlucky. I don't want Ophelia to be accused. That's why I asked you to defend her, Sophie, because I trusted you. Trusted me to defend her, or trusted me not to accuse you, since we're so close? Don't answer the question, I'm appalled. Did you not care if a different nurse got arrested? Is it callous to say I didn't? I would say so, yes. I wonder, is that why she confessed? Because of Ophelia, or is it something else? No matter, I refuse to believe you are responsible. As such, I will cross-examine this testimony. You know, this is your best chance at winning the case, and you're going to throw it away? Victory at the cost of Pala being arrested instead is no victory at all. Very well, you may cross-examine the witness. I don't know what got into you, but this isn't the Pala I know, and I'll prove it whether you like it or not. It's weird because it starts off with the normal speed and then kind of speeds up quickly. So it kind of sounds odd. A bit eerie. Why? Are you seriously asking her this again? I understand that you were furious with the Thales, but to actually kill him. There's something else I don't understand. What else could I do? That scumbag's wallet was deeper than the Mariana Trench. He could bury any scandal that came his way as long as he drew breath. Call it what you will, revenge, justice, closure. I knew I had no other choice, and I don't regret it. You don't have to understand it, but Sophie, please don't try and deny it. I don't want this any harder for you than it has to be. I'm afraid I can't do that, because you mean everything to me, Pala. It's selfish, but I can't let go of that. Ever. Do you understand? Unfortunately, I do. Maybe the one I'm really making it easy for is myself. What was that, witness? Oh, nothing. Pay no mind. hospital room happened to be the one your brother was later admitted to? Actually, a coincidence, yes. Coincidence? He didn't plan Whedon's room being right next to Dr. Dales's? The positions of the rooms played no part in my murder plot. All that mattered was that the two of them were being tended to at around the same time. Crucially, with Dales's injection scheduled before my brother's. Are you able to influence this into being the case? Let's say I scheduled his dose of immortality serum days before actually going to the hospital. Using what connections I still had, I was able to find out when exactly this was. Just found a way to break patient-doctor confidentiality? I did, yes. You can add that to my list of crimes. Anyway, all that was left was to make sure my brother's injection lined up in the way I wanted it to. And I am his sister, you know. I merely nudged him to choose a time that worked for me. Let him know the true meaning of those words. This was done to oxidize what would have been the immortality serum inside, yes? Correct, unlike the death serum, the immortality serum oxidizes instantly, so there's no risk. Conveniently, the holes made by the syringes are small enough that no liquid spills out. And yet they are large enough for oxygen to make its way through. As you can imagine, this was a crucial part of my plan. We were not to confirm the liquid inside was indeed the immortality serum. I see no reason why it would have been anything different. That label had no reason to be wrong. Besides, my plan worked, didn't it? Actually proof enough that it was indeed immortality serum. I have no proof otherwise. Why should you back off this line of reasoning for now? So it could have already been, yeah. That would be the blood from this blood pack, correct? Indeed, I took it in the morning along with the syringes I stole. And I suppose that explains why it was already half empty when Whedon arrived in this hospital room. Is that also why I needed to take 2 syringes? Yes, as you surmise, I used one to partly empty the death serum, and another to inject the blood. If I didn't do that first bit, the syringe would have been overflowing with liquid. After I was done with that, I threw away both syringes in the bin in the hole. How awfully convenient. The use of a waste disposal system that leaves no traces unfalsifiable. It's not like an incinerator, come to think of it. At least this one provides some benefit to our society by giving us energy in return. I would imagine the person who designed it ever imagined it would be used in such a fashion. Future sure is something, huh? It's the future! Future! Okay, enough of that. But that didn't happen, did it? After all, both serums ended up red in the end. Only because Ophelia made a mistake and filled both syringes with the death serum. That could have been very costly for me, but luckily it didn't end up mattering. Ophelia never checked the color of the syringe she originally gave to Dr. Dales to see. Luckily? Is that lucky to you? You were arguing the same thing at the start of this trial, no? And I have the same rebuttal now that I gave to Mix Factora then. The serums are kept in clearly labeled containers in 2 distinct colours. It would be impossible for Ophelia to mix them up at all. I seem to recall you recounted that argument, Miss Lang. Well, so I did, but only because Mix Factora was using it against me. I refuse to believe Ophelia could have made such a simple mistake, but if I can't prove that, it's all over. Why did you have to rely on Ophelia to swap the serums for you? After all, you had a far less risky way to pull off the same effect. And that would be swapping the labels in the bags. I already theorized that the killer had to have done this anyway. Rio testified to have done so. Why? Well, the reason I didn't is because I was worried I wouldn't have enough time to. It was already a stretch to oxidize the immortality serum in the short time you and Ophelia were talking. That's why I figured it was easier to mess with the death serum while I was in my brother's room. But secondly, with the facts of the case, it is impossible for me to have swapped those labels. She's right! She must swap the labels and recolor the serums. What would happen? Would Ophelia like to swap the bags herself? It would have cancelled out. Dr. Thales would have received the immortality serum and lived, so we wouldn't even be here. Ah, you're right. Then, how did the labels appear correct even after Ophelia swapped the bags? Got me. I'm as dumbfounded as the rest of you. There's something here I'm not getting. That's right. If it happens from here, it's all up to me. Okay, so we know that's the correct answer now. We'll see what. Paula, I can't accept this. It's impossible. So you're throwing things at the wall in vain in an attempt to make everything right? Maybe I am, but what would you have me do instead? Lose a dear friend? I would have you move forward with your head held high, without me. Sorry, but that without you is a deal breaker. That's sweet of you to say, but inappropriate given this current situation. The slang of sentimentality will cloud your judgment like this. I implore you to rest. Lest you make more foolish mistakes like this one. Rest and win the case, rest and lose power. Sorry, I can't do that. Actually, if I did get a game over at this point, would it be Paula being found guilty? I'm wondering about that. But we don't have time to deal with that, so maybe I'll record it as a bonus. Paula, you say you mix the death serum with the blood from this blood pack? I do. That's impossible. Impossible? But Miss Lang, you're the one who proposed that the blood might have been used in this manner. I was, but I forgot one crucial thing. The blood types don't match. Don't match? What are you blabbering about? If you check his autopsy report, you'll notice that Dr. Thales' blood type is A-. The blood type of the bag used in the murder, however, is B+. As I learned from Ollie, these are not compatible. So, what's the big deal? If you receive an incompatible blood type, you're likely to feel some side effects. Chills, fever, vomiting, to name a few. However, the autopsy report states that there were no adverse reactions to receiving the serum. Therefore, the B+ type blood could not have been part of the mixture. Seriously? Wait, but that doesn't make any sense. I'm sure I did it right. A fascinating proposal, Miss Lang. We've talked too much of the syringes not knowing what's inside. The thing, how do we know that's B+? They could have swapped the label on that. Are they both death serum? Or just one? Which ones have blood in them, if any? I'm afraid you'll have to explain that before we go any further. I'm in agreement. There's been too much confusion surrounding the content of the syringes. Right, so it falls to me to clear up this confusion. Since we're on the topic, let's start with the one that killed the victim. What are the contents of Dale's syringe? That you want to talk to serum of blood? It can't be. I think it's just death serum though. It had to contain the death serum, otherwise it wouldn't have killed him. The only thing we were wrong about was it containing blood also. It must have just been regular old oxidation that turned it red, like we originally thought. As I've already shown, an intentional killer would never use such an unreliable method. So, do you admit that it was an accident, and this is the defendant's fault? Of course not. I maintain my client's innocence. Although, maybe something else happened by accident. I think I'll be able to explain this by figuring out what's in the other syringe. And do enlighten us. What is the liquid in Mr. Whedon's syringe? It's oxidized. So I would say death serum and blood. It's red and would have oxidized, so I feel this has to be the death serum. As I theorized. Of course, for this to be true, the defendant would have had to have made a grave mistake, implying she may have been the cause of the Thales' death. Hold on, that's not what I said. I don't think you're really breaking new ground with that theory, Sophie. I should try something a little different next time. So that was my best move. It seems it's a very cut and dried case, as it was manslaughter, the defendant killing by accident. Of course not. I want to see what these other ones were, actually. This contained the death serum as it killed the victim. The oxidation is reliable, so the killer must have used blood changes cover. Right? Didn't you just say that it cannot have contained blood due to the autopsy report? Oh, you're right. My bad. Try to repeat the information you just disproved next time. Let me try again, Your Honor. You insist, but you have to more adequately explain what's in the syringes. I agree. I'm in agreement. There's been too much confusion surrounding the contents of the syringes. Right, so force me to kill the confusion. For starters, I believe it contained the immortality serum. And that the Thales would still be alive. Well, she isn't! The very foundations of your theory are nonsense. Try again. Don't you think we've been mistaking an alive man for a corpse this whole time? I mean, he's really old. It's possible, right? Try again. Doesn't see on blood. No, it just is the same thing. I want to see what happens if we get game over, actually. That's enough. I see no reason to further prolong this trial. Neither side is in any shape to make any coherent points from this position. Given the facts, I am forced to declare the defendant, Miss Ophelia Payne. Paula Whedon will be detained and tried at a later date. No, Paula, I couldn't save you. That's all. This court is adjourned. So it really was a separate... No, it can't end like this. It'll just have a thing, but it doesn't have like a fully special ending. Switch back to the last cross-examination. But anyway, we were into this next one. It's red and when it's oxidized, so it feels supposed to be the death serum. As I theorized. Of course! Oh no, we already said that one. I guess those two lead to the same then. Immortality serum, of course, that was almost meant for Thales. The defense must be colorblind. That's the only way they could have made such a rookie mistake. The hole in the syringe means that the liquid inside must have oxidized. However, the oxidized immortality serum is clear, not red, as seen in the syringe. Perhaps we should test the defense for colorblindness. Tell me, can you see this green turn to maroon? Yes, I can see it just fine. Oh good, then let's move on. Victoria? Yeah. Immortality serum and blood, it has to be. Of course, that's why they're both red, though they should be different serums. Will you get on with it, Miss Lamb? That syringe must have immortality serum. I refuse to believe Ophelia would make such a simple mistake. However, if it only oxidized, we would expect it to be clear, not red. That's where the blood comes in. The clear immortality serum had mixed with the red blood, the end result would be red. Just as we see in the syringe. So, that serum oxidized and the immortality serum was mixed with blood. Hang on, that's the exact opposite of what Miss Whedon claimed in her testimony. You're absolutely right. I can only assume you didn't intend for it to happen this way, Paula. I didn't. Well, can you explain this discrepancy? I believe I can, and this is the final deduction that will tie everything together. Paula's testimony doesn't match up with the way the serums really change colours because she made a mistake. They were swapped beforehand. These aren't the original serums. She made a mistake. I suppose she just made a mistake. Gave the blood to the wrong serum and all that. Seriously? All up for such a simple explanation. I think you also find this is nothing to exonerate Miss Whedon of her crimes. Oh shoot, you're right. Well then the whole point of what you were doing... Such actions, I have no choice but to hand out a penalty. One more chance, you and I insist upon myself. Insists upon itself. Very well, one. From what I've not seen Family Guy, but that clip really resonates with me because I did not care for the Godfather either. I didn't know so beforehand, so I'm going to say this is the final fake answer. It's possible that the serums in the syringes aren't the ones that Felix really brought up. Elaborate. What I mean is, the true killer may have swapped them out for their own replacement serums. All this to ensure their plan worked perfectly, of course. Easier said than done. Remember that those serums are kept under lock and key. To grab replacements, you would have to be a doctor or nurse who had access. Which leaves only your client. I hope you aren't accusing her. Oh, well. It appears the defense is doing the exact opposite of her job. Such actions, I have no choice but to hand down a penalty. One more chance, Your Honor. I insist upon myself. Again. The only explanation that makes sense. Paula, you thought you were injecting the blood into the death serum and oxidizing your mortality? But it was actually the reverse, because someone else swapped the two syringes beforehand. Syringes? What about the labels and bags? Wouldn't it still accomplish the same thing? It would, but then that would fail to explain the glove marks off on the syringes. It's likely this party wasn't familiar with the stickerable property of the labels. What to think of it, Paula? Your confession has no alternate way of explaining the glove marks. Such a swap happening is patently absurd. Let me ask you this. When would anyone have had the opportunity to swap those syringes? Well, when Ollie and Ophelia were distracted, cleaning up the glass from the beaker, of course. Naturally, and that's the only possibility. But Ollie told us he and the nurse checked those bags after that moment. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with the serums. Then Ollie must have been lying. What? Lying? Defense, explain yourself at once. What reason would he have to lie? I don't know yet. Is he lying on his own volition or on behalf of someone else? Maybe Ollie checked the bags and that's like, are they alright? And he's like, yeah. He didn't want his teacher to get the wrong serum. But it's the only explanation that makes sense. Actually, come to think of it. I said, did any of those testimonies seem weird to you two? What do you mean? Oh, you know, like someone was, actually, never mind. I must have been imagining things. I was right. So it was Ollie she was thinking of. That must have been a testimony my client thought was strange. And of course she would. She was there. She'd know the truth. I'll admit it's possible. It's ridiculous. Really? Someone swapped the serums? You guys will come up with anything. Paula, what are you doing? I know I killed up the Dales. I know it. I had to. So I can't have you making up stories in vain hoping it'll make me innocent. But I've shown another possibility. The possibility that someone else swapped the serums. If we pursue this line of reasoning, it might turn out that you're not really responsible. And what if it doesn't? What then? I don't want you to go through all this trouble for me only to find out that I'm just a murderous scumbag. I betrayed your trust, Sophie. Frankly, I don't deserve you. It's not true. I wouldn't even be here without you. Say what you want. Nothing will forgive my crimes. Paula, your heart wavers. I know this may be difficult, but you must look forward to each next moment with conviction. Go where your heart leads. Thank you, but I can't. Not yet. Sophie, I'm sorry, but I can't accept your argument. And why is that? The whole idea of it is predicated on the fact that the Thales couldn't have received the B-type plus type blood. Is that a fact, really? After all, did you not say that receiving an incompatible blood type may lead to side effects? May, meaning it's entirely possible for him to have received that blood and feel none the worse for wear. Aside from being dead, of course. Are you serious? Pal, you're driving me crazy here. Why do you insist upon your own guilt? Because I have to. Because you won't. So that's how it is. If that's the path you've chosen, very well. Then you must give this your all, like you would anything else. Of course. Sophie, you better listen up. My rebuttal. You think I'm innocent? It's a nice theory, but that's all it is. As I already said, there's no reason that the Thales had to get side effects from the B-plus type blood. What about the glove marks on the bags and the syringes? You say I can't explain those? But what's stopping me from being able to have left those glove marks myself? It's simple. I took the syringes out of the bags to be able to meddle with them. I had to have touched both items directly to do this. That's when I left the glove marks. Ollie had no reason to lie about what he saw, but in your theory, he did. I can't reconcile that. Well, I know where the weakness is at. I was still convinced you did it, after everything. It seems witness has clearly disproved your latest theory, defense. This case feels all but resolved, though I have a feeling you'll insist on cross-examining her anyways. Absolutely, Your Honor. After all, if I go from Pella now, you will be there to believe in her. A weaker attorney than you would have taken the opportunity for the not guilty verdict. I am glad to see that you are not that attorney, Miss Lang. Strength has nothing to do with it. Pella saved me, now it's my turn to save her. Why did I vanish for a second there? Anyway, there are better things you could be spending your time on. Enough with this depressing talk. I won't have it for any longer. You understand? Whether you like it or not, I will prove you innocent. For you see, we are the spiteful lovers in a perfect world. Roll credits. Then do it. Do it! My rebuttal is what we will do next time. Next time, we will examine her rebuttal, and I have a feeling that when we do, something absolutely, completely crazy is going to happen, possibly even topping the absolute crazy start to this episode that we had. So I hope you'll look forward to whatever over-the-top, crazy, awesome shenanigans go on next time in the next part of Spiteful Lovers in a Perfect World. So, see you then.